First story. The saga of Ops, who caught his wife cheating on him with not just one, but 5 different guys. Married less than a year, both in our mid-20s. She gets concert tickets for Christmas. Naturally, I assume I'm going with her. Nope. She wants to take someone from work because he is supposedly a huge fan of the band. She also tells me he's gay. I am upset, but I decide not to start a fight about it. She goes to the concert, and they wait outside near the band bus after the show is over. The bassist from the band starts to talk to her, and she flirts with him. He asks if she is going to their New Year's Eve show 200 miles away. She says no because she can't afford it. He said he'll comp her tickets if she comes. She says she won't go alone. He says she can bring her friend. Now our New Year's Eve plans are ruined because there's no way I can go too. She had joked before about having to sleep with the bassist for these tickets and VIP access. I did not find it funny, so she played it off. In the end, this is her favorite band, and I don't want her holding this over my head for the rest of our lives, so I let her make the decision herself. She decides to go with her friend from work, who she now says she's only 80% sure he's gay, WTF. She texts me on the long drive there. Then when she gets the tickets, then nothing. I text her at midnight, and she gives me a 3-word response. I don't hear from her again. I call her at 11:30 the next morning, and she says she is waiting at the subway station to go back to her hotel. She eventually gets home around 4:30 p.m. I ask her how it went. She says they partied all night. She took prescription drugs and drank a lot. She said she was pissed she paid for a hotel when she only slept in it for 2 hours. I asked how that was possible when she was at the subway at 11:30 a.m. She admits that she didn't use the hotel room at all and that she must have slept in the band's suite. What? She blames her amnesia on a hangover. Fast forward a day or so. She gets out of the shower, and I notice she shaved her pubes. I ask her when she did it. She says Friday. Here's the thing. My wife never shaves her pubes. When she does, it's a present for me. She left for work, and I found a package of Summer's Eve feminine wipes in her overnight bag. Here's the other thing. I've always secretly thought she's had an odor problem, but she's certainly never done anything about it for me. This was a brand new pack. Why did she have them? So what do you think? Is she cheating? With the bassist or the guy from work? Should I confront her about it? TLDR. Wife goes to a concert with a guy from work on NYE, stays up all night in band suite. I can't get her story straight. Abnormal attention to vaginal hygiene. Edit. Sorry, this is such a horrible read. I'm literally shaking as I write this since I don't know what to do. Edit 2. This is a F-ed-up situation for sure. But I should mention, there's a reason we got married. She and I share an affinity for so many things, from music to gaming to trees to other nerdy stuff. Some people might consider us a couple that spends too much time together. The SX life has cooled off a bit, but neither of us has been left wanting. Not sure if any of this changes things. Edit 3. I think I should clarify that she got the concert tickets as a Christmas gift, but the concert was not on Christmas. The first concert was on December 30th. The second was December 31st. Edit 4. I'm trying to avoid keywords that might lead her to this thread, so I won't name the band. It's not Nickelback, and it's definitely not Fish. Edit 5. She'll be home soon. Wish me luck. Update on the same post. I sat her down last night for a talk. I asked her to walk me through the night so I could better understand the details. They had tickets waiting at will call and were able to stand in the VIP section for the concert. The bar was open until about 2 o'clock, at which point they were invited to the band suite. The hotel gave her free pajamas, so she wasn't wearing her dress when she went up there. It was a pretty large party, with the bassist, guitarist, cellist from the opening band, and the entire road crew. She said her friend from work was hovering around her all night, to the point of being annoying. She said she fell asleep on the floor of the living room, as did a dozen other people. Her coworker woke her up around 11, and they went to the subway. I asked her why she shaved. She said she doesn't know. What if I ended up going swimming? She said. Did you bring a bathing suit? I asked. No. Not to mention the fact that my wife can't swim. She'll drown in 6 feet of water with nothing to hold on to. We enjoy hot tubs, though I still wouldn't have been comfortable with her in a hot tub full of strangers. I asked her about the Summer's Eve cleansing cloths. She admitted they were for feminine odor, but said she bought them during our last Walmart shopping trip, which was the day after Christmas. If that's true, she couldn't have known she was sleeping out without me on NYE. She said she didn't even open them. When I checked the package again, I was positive it was unopened. I asked her to look me in the eyes and swear that there was no kissing, cuddling, or sexual contact of any kind. She did so, repeating those exact words. I also told her how hurt I was about the whole situation. I told her that if she has tickets to something and I want to go, she is obligated to take me no matter what. If she isn't ready to make that call, then she isn't ready for marriage. She was very resistant and used a lot of hyperbole in the conversation. You always this, I never that. The most hurtful thing she said to me was that if I was able to go on NYE, she thinks she wouldn't have had as much fun. I told her that's a fundamental blow to our relationship that should call our marriage into question. She said I was being ridiculous. So I'm pretty much right back where I started. Still not sure if she cheated. It's possible she lied. I have no way of knowing. She's acting pretty much normal at home, as if nothing happened. Still don't know what to do. I'm going to leave this up for another day or so, then take it down so she doesn't see it. Suggestions other than dump that lying cheating W would be appreciated. General summary of comments. She's definitely cheating, and even if she isn't, something big is wrong and the relationship is on the rocks. Also some comments trying to figure out which band she may or may not have cheated on him with. There is also some decent advice given by this Redditor. Update. 1 month later. Last week, the bassist guy texted my wife and invited her to a concert in a city 100 miles away on a weeknight. She wanted to go by herself, and I brought up the events of New Year's Eve. She stopped talking to me and gave me the silent treatment for 3 days. I went on a business trip over the weekend and kept in touch with her every day. When I got back, we spent Valentine's Day together. Yesterday, I was on Reddit and saw that I had an orange. I clicked on it, only to realize that my wife was still signed in on my computer. She used her account for Gunwild, which I knew about and supported. But what I didn't expect is that she was sending photos to guys via PM. I continued reading. One guy asked, "What's the wildest thing you've ever done?" And there it was. She responded with, "On NYE, I had my first threesome with a member of a famous 90s rock band and a friend. The first thing I did was speak to a lawyer about my options. Then I confronted her about it, and she said it was only half true. She said she embellished, and that her friend really is gay, and she and the bassist made out and did oral. That's when I left the apartment and headed straight for the hospital to get tested for STDs. I got back several hours later, not believing a word she said. I told her to text the guy simply, 'Did we have sex?' And if he says no, I'll believe her." She then admitted they did have sex. My whole life has been shattered. We were married for less than a year, and I invested my whole being into this 5-year relationship. I moved into the second bedroom, and I'm sleeping on a futon. Our lease goes until May. I just wanted to update Reddit, since I know people rarely do that, and thank you for being there for me before. I'm in the South Jersey Philly area and could use some love. TLDR Reddit, you were right. In this comment, OP reveals that the person his wife cheated with was the bassist of Third Eye Blind. From the time of the post, the changing members of the band, and considering that this was on tour at the time, this means that it could have been one of 3 musicians. Update 2. 4 men. She had an affair with 4 different men over the past 5 months. The first was a guy from work. She started as sexting and sending racy pictures to back in October. Then she met a random guy at a concert and kissed him. She met up with him again when she was at a drive-in movie theater with a friend, where allegedly nothing happened except cuddling. She met up with him again when she was at a gay club with some friends, and he F'd her from behind in the bathroom. He drunk texted her a month later. They fought and broke off contact after that. One night in mid-December, I came home from work at 6 p.m., knowing that she got done at 2 p.m. for a company Christmas party. Her pet bunny was out of its cage and running around the apartment. She was nowhere to be found. Her car was in the parking lot. Her coat was on a chair. I called her phone, and it rang from the couch. I called my mom in a panic. I ran around the apartment complex looking for her. I screamed her name. I even checked the goddamn dumpsters, expecting the worst. When she came home, an hour and a half later, the police were in my living room, and I was giving them her description. I held her so tightly. I was so scared that something had happened to her. I was in tears. A minute earlier, she was making out with a guy from work in his car down the street, with her hand on his DCK. If she wasn't on her period, she would have had sex with him. Then there's New Year's Eve. The bassist guy likes it up the arse. When my wife and her gay friend went up to his hotel room, he asked him to screw him up the arse. He did, with my wife in the room, and then the guy told him to get lost. He then had unprotected sex with her, with possible vaginal insemination. She took the morning after pill and had a pregnancy scare when she was late for her period. They continued to chat via text/email/video chat after that. Finally, she had an emotional affair with a guy she met on Reddit. They flirted via text and email and made plans to meet in person and have sex while I was on a business trip last weekend. A friend of mine asked her if she wanted to do LSD together, and she found that to be the better option. As far as I know, she never met the guy. She continued to flirt and chat with 3 of the 4 men up until last Wednesday, when I found out. I only found out about the other 2 yesterday, after I invaded her privacy and found tons of emails and chats with and about these men. I forwarded those emails to myself. I even have the t-shirt that my wife slept in that belonged to the bassist. She actually brought it into our home. I know this doesn't count as verification, but here is a photo of the t-shirt and of my hospital bracelet from when I got screened for STDs. Images links are in the description. I could never hurt or kill myself. But believe me when I say I wish I was dead. I wouldn't wish this pain on someone I hate. I'm weak. I'm exhausted. I can't eat or sleep. I miss her so bad, but I'm repulsed by her at the same time. I told her not to even be in the same room as me until she gets tested for STDs. I told her to email her entire family and tell them everything she did. She has a very tight family, and this will likely shame her for life. I told her she needs to cut all ties with everyone and burn every bridge, including with the 2 friends she had that enabled her, if she ever wants to speak to me again. And even then, it's very likely that there's nothing to save. I feel so alone. I have friends that I've been relying on, but I can't tell if they are being supportive because they want to be, and they like to have me around, or if they are simply not arseholes. My confidence and self-esteem are shot. I'm doomed to be alone no matter what I do. I was already physically neglected. I am in no condition for a new relationship, and there is no way I could be intimate with this woman again. Everything I had was just ripped away. I need some cheering up. Again, South Jersey, Philly area. Thanks again for the kind words I've been receiving. Edit. She had sex with a guy from work. I'm effing done. It's over. I didn't make her write any letters or tell anyone. She can rot for all I care. I'm free from this bullshit. Anyone for a beer? Edit 2. These posts will be coming down soon as I prepare for divorce. I hope that my story will help someone else get out of a toxic relationship as well. If you would like the name of my main account to keep in touch, or just follow the story, PM me. Update 3. Thanks to you/Rulia_Repens for informing me of it. The past 7 months have had a lot of ups and downs. I'm in a much better place than I used to be, but still on the road to recovery. I go to therapy 3 times a month. I started running and working out frequently. I dropped from 245 pounds in February to 205 pounds this morning. I feel so much more in shape, and for the first time since high school, I feel good about my body. The change has caused me to have to buy all new clothes, so I'm slowly updating my wardrobe and dressing and subsequently feeling better. I have a large pool of friends now. The friends that I spent New Year's Eve with hang out every Tuesday for trivia, and we went to the beach a few times this spring and summer. I practice with my band 3 times a week now, and our album was just released for free online. We hang out several times a week. My best friend right now is a girl I met on Reddit, unrelated to these posts. We text every day and hang out every other night, and if one of us is absent for more than 2 days, we miss each other a lot. I took a trip to Puerto Rico with my mom and my aunt back in May, and it was a life-changing experience. No sightseeing or touristing. My mom grew up there, and we were visiting family. I got to experience the real culture and my heritage. I currently live in a predominantly white suburb. When I came back, I was much more calm and finally had a positive outlook on life. As for my ex, the easiest, cheapest, and most painless way for us to divorce is on irreconcilable differences. For my state, that requires 18 months of living in separate residences while not having sex with each other. No problem there. 6 months down, 12 to go. I look forward to the day she no longer disgraces my last name. There is so much she is still lying to me about, and so much I will never know the truth about. For a while, we talked about spending time apart, and, after a while, seeing if there was something there to save. She called me to meet with her a few months later, and after a long and deceitful amount of small talk, she told me she had given up. She no longer wanted me back. She had quit therapy, and I know for a fact she is currently dating one of the guys she cheated on me with. To be honest, good for her. She will either wake up one day and realize how much better her life could have been with me, or she'll have a better life with this guy. Either way, I never would have wanted to hold her back from a higher state of happiness. In the meantime, I never want to see her again outside of a courtroom. To cope with my deflated ego, I went through a period of sexual promiscuity. I picked up some self-help books, hit up Our Seduction, and took my new body to college parties. I went on dates with old friends I hadn't seen in 5 years. I slept around with girls as old as 30 and as young as 18. To be perfectly honest, none of that made me feel any better. I thought that I wanted to feel young again and sow my wild oats, but the truth is, I just wanted to be loved. So I'm actually dating someone right now. We connect deeply on a mental and physical level, and being with her makes me feel like I can love again. She lives an hour away, which I find to be a good thing because it keeps this from turning into a codependent relationship. I retain my independence while still having someone who cares for me and goes out with me a few times a week. Will it last? Don't know, don't care. Living in the moment has been one of my coping mechanisms this year. So long as I live responsibly. When I'm with her, I'm happy, and that's all I care about. So this is getting long, but I wanted to thank all of the supportive commenters on Reddit. Many of you offered good advice that I took to heart, and some of you even reached out to me on Facebook. I may have been slightly jaded at the time, but the show of compassion and empathy from strangers has been truly heartwarming. I like the new me, and I hope to be better for the experience. I've only barely brushed the surface with this post, so feel free to ask me anything. TLDR. Lost 40 pounds, moved, slept around, currently in a new relationship. Wife took the easy way out and gave up on life. Second story. Husband explained his father was abusive, and he went NC with him. And delusional OP took their kids to meet him herself behind husband's back, thinking he still is family and needs to know her and their kids. Now having a breakdown, husband left her, and even her family blaming OP for ruining her relationship. I 42F and my husband 42M Darrell has 3 kids, 18M, 13F, and 9F. We have been together since we were 15 and married since we were 18. I have never really had any contact with his father. He has always been distant with him, and has made sure to keep me away as well. So I do not know much about his father personally, other than the few things he has brought up only 1 or 2 times. He has mentioned that he hates his father, that he was an abusive arsehole, and that he would abuse him and his sister every day. His mother took her own life when he was 13, and has been in therapy since. So his relationship with his father is practically non-existent. All he has as a real family is his younger sister. My contact with his father had only been before we got married. Darrell has always tried to keep me as far away from him as possible. I've only interacted with him when I first met his family, and when he graduated high school. When we got married at 18, he cut all contact with his father and prohibited me and our kids from ever contacting him or inviting him to anything. That included our weddings, kids' special days, and so on. They have never met their grandpa, and it has always bothered them. They have all met my sister-in-law, 40F, and love her as family. They frequently ask for her, and are very close. She has been to every main event and family gathering. I am not very close to her, but have maintained a good relationship. I asked her about her parents and how it was growing up, and she tried to evade the question and even started to get nervous. She refused to answer my question and changed the subject. Darrell never really told me much about it either, and has reacted the same way when our kids have asked him about his family. On Thanksgiving, we had a family dinner. My whole family attended. Of course, my sister-in-law attended. Everyone got wasted and had a good time. That was until my youngest asked her if Grandpa was going to attend this year. My other kids jumped on the bandwagon and bombarded her with questions about him and why he was never here. She got overwhelmed and stormed out. My husband scolded them and went to make sure her sister was okay. When we got home, he told them to never bring him up again, to erase even the thought. That Grandpa does not exist. This seemed to have lit a fire under all of them because to them it seemed like a mystery, a hidden character who they were dying to meet. Since then they have hounded me about it. Mom, I want to meet Grandpa. Mom, why isn't Grandpa around when yours is? Why don't you invite Grandpa over? All I could tell them was that Dad did not get along with Grandpa, and that Grandpa was mean to him. It did not seem to shake their resolve to meet him. I have brought it up to my husband, that his kids want to meet their Grandpa. Maybe they should get to meet their Grandpa at least once. They deserve it. He did not like the idea and told me to never bring up this subject again. He told me that they would never meet that man. He did not care about how much our kids wanted to meet him. He again prohibited me from ever contacting his father, let alone letting his kid meet him. My kids continued to hound me and begged me to visit Grandpa. I felt bad for them and thought that maybe just once they should meet him. They deserved at least one visit. I convinced myself that it was okay and eventually agreed to it. I told them that this would be our little secret and to not tell their father. Their faces lit up, and throughout the week they would ask if I was taking them today or tomorrow. So I took them to see their grandpa this upcoming weekend. I told my husband that we would be going to the mall and that we would be back late. When we got back home, my husband greeted us and had ordered takeout. His sister was there as well, already chowing down. My husband and I went to the kitchen to get something to drink while his sister talked to my kids. I overheard her ask them how their day was and if they did. My youngest excitedly responded, "We got to meet and have ice cream with Grandpa." My husband dropped his cup and it shattered on the floor. I told him that I could explain, but he did not give me the chance to and told me not to say a word, that he will be going for a drive to think, and that he will be back. I pleaded for him to hear me out, but he left. His sister was angry as well and followed, but before leaving, she asked me why on God's green earth would I take them to him. Now my kids are asking what happened, and I'm not sure what to say. So AITA for taking my kids to go meet my husband's abusive father. AITA has no consensus bot, but based on the comments, the vast majority of Redditors see her as ta. Most upvoted comment. Variegation. What in the F is wrong with you? YTA. How dare you? Your husband suffered abuse at the hands of this man on a daily basis, and you knew that but decided to walk your children into the hands of a known abuser anyway, with no regard for him at all. I cannot even imagine what he is going through mentally right now. I feel horrible for him. It's like being abused all over again. Update. Hello everyone, sorry for not responding, and for not updating sooner. Life has gotten pretty hectic since I last posted. I want to start by admitting that I have always wanted to meet my husband's father, and that I have brought up Grandpa to my kids more than a few times. I did not want to admit it because I knew my husband's story, and did not want to make it seem like I didn't care about how he or his sister felt. I felt it was unfair that I was being kept away from his father, and I know that it sounds awful, but I have always wanted to have some kind of relationship with his father. After all, he is still family. I just did not want to admit that I was wrong for feeling that way. I did use my kids as an excuse, and used them to justify my feelings and actions. They did want to meet their grandpa, and were always curious about him, so I went and took advantage of it. My family does know the situation, as they noticed that my husband was not staying at home. I have gotten cussed at and shunned for my decision. I am doing what I can to rebuild my relationship with my husband. He accepted my apology, but told me that he would still be staying with his sister, until he felt ready to come back home, until he got over my betrayal of his trust. I've read your comments, and you guys are right. My kids do deserve to know the whole truth about their grandpa, and why he never wanted or allowed him to be around. So I sat them all down, yes, even my youngest, and explained to them. I told them that they did nothing wrong, and that I was the one to blame for everything. I shouldn't have pushed my cruel ambition onto them. I explained the reason Dad wasn't staying at home for the past few days. I believe it can be fixed. I am not going to give up, despite what you all say. My husband will come back, and we will be a family again. I will update whenever I can and answer any comments whenever I have the chance to. Most upvoted comment. Tim from you. The lengths that people such as yourself go to excuse their own SHTTY decisions, especially when the consequences turn around and bite them hard, is amazing to watch. If your husband was here, I'd happily advise him to never trust a single word you ever say again. You, as a person, simply can't ever be trusted. What an insanely horrible person you are. Oh, and yes, as everyone in your earlier post said, you are the arsehole. In every meaning of the word. May your upcoming divorce be quick and amicable.